Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is good to have you with us. Today, we are shifting gears a little bit.
Just a bit.
We are usually out here swinging for the fences, right? We tackle these massive abstract topics, artificial intelligence, the fall of Rome, the geopolitical implications of the energy transition. We love the big picture.
Oh, you do?
But today, I want to do the exact opposite. I want to zoom all the way in. I want to look at something small, something you can literally hold in the palm of your hand.
And, sometimes the smallest objects hold the most weight.
Exactly. We're talking about a piece of paper. Specifically, a strip of paper that is usually about, 2 inches wide and maybe 6 inches long?
That's the standard, yeah.
And look, I know what you're thinking, a bookmark. You're doing a whole deep dive on a bookmark. But stick with me here, because this isn't just about marking your page in a paperback.
Not at all.
It's about memory. It's about grief. And it's about a really strange paradox that we are seeing right now in the middle of the digital age.
It is a paradox. And honestly, it's one of those topics that seems so mundane, I guess, until you pull back the curtain. And then you realize there's this entire psychological and historical engine just driving this one little thing.
Right. So here is the hook, and this is why I really needed you here to help me parse this out. We live in a hyper-digital world. I mean, my life is in the cloud.
All of our lives are.
If I want to show you the picture of my kids, I pull out my phone. If I want to know the weather, I ask a smart speaker. If I want to send condolences to a friend who lost someone, the default path of least resistance is what? A text message.
Or a comment on a Facebook wall.
Exactly. The friction has been totally removed. We've made memory instant, but we've also made it incredibly intangible.
That's the word, intangible. It's just pixels on a screen that you scroll past.
Precisely. And yet, and this is what the research from the funeral program site is showing us, which is fascinating, in the funeral industry, one of the most requested, most enduring, most non-negotiable items is the memorial bookmark.
It's still there.
It's still there. It's a physical, tangible, static object. It doesn't beep, it doesn't scroll, it doesn't play a video. And the question is, why? Why do we still cling to these little physical tokens of remembrance when we have infinite digital storage? Why does this specific format survive when we've basically abandoned phone books and paper calendars?
It's the central question, isn't it? You would think, logically, that as books themselves become digital, as we all move to Kindles and audiobooks, the bookmark would go the way of the dodo.
Of course.
Especially a bookmark meant for a funeral, which is already a pretty niche use case. But what we're finding in the source material is that the bookmark isn't surviving despite the digital age. It might actually be surviving because of it.
Okay, hold on. That is a massive claim. You're saying that the very fact that I stare at screens all day is what's making me want a little piece of cardstock more.
I am. I think that's exactly what's happening. It's about the psychology of grief. It's about the history of what experts call mourning ephemera, which is a fantastic term we need to get into.
Oh, I love that.
And it's about this very primal, very human need to have something to do with our hands when our hearts are broken. When the world feels abstract and chaotic, we crave things that have edges, things that, displace air.
Mourning ephemera, that sounds incredibly Victorian. I'm picturing people in black veils holding lockets of hair or something.
You are not far off.
Yeah.
That is precisely the lineage we are talking about here. But before we get deep into the history, let's just set the stage for what we are actually analyzing today.
Okay.
We are drawing heavily from a lot of data and analysis provided by the funeral program site. They have this really unique vantage point because they see the raw consumer behavior. They see what families are actually ordering, sometimes in the middle of the night when they're planning a service.
So they're the front lines.
The absolute front lines. They see the trends in design, the shifts in materials, and ultimately what people decide is worth paying for when they're saying goodbye.
So the mission today is to explore the enduring legacy of memorial bookmarks. We are going to look at the history, the psychology, the design, which is way more complex than I thought, and the future. But let's start with the absolute basics, just so we are all visualizing the same thing. What exactly constitutes a memorial bookmark?
Structurally, it is deceptively simple. It's a slender, printed remembrance piece. The industry standard sizes are usually 2 inches by 6 inches, or a slightly larger, more modern version at 2.5 by 8 inches.
So long and skinny, built to fit in a book.
Correct. And the components on it are almost rigidly standardized, really because they just work. You have a photo of the deceased, usually a portrait, something warm.
Good picture.
The best one you can find. Then you have their name, their birth date, and their death date. And then, crucially, you have a short message. This is the heart of it. It could be a prayer, a poem, a scripture verse, or a meaningful quote.
It seems so incredibly functional. It's a bookmark. Its job is to mark a book.
On the surface, yes, and it can do that. But its core function isn't actually to hold your place in that thriller novel you're reading.
Okay.
Its core function is to serve as a touch point. It's a portable memorial.
A touch point. I like that. It's like a button you can press, but the button is a piece of paper, and the app it opens is your memory.
That's a perfect way to put it. And to really understand why this specific shape won out over, say, a square card, we have to look at that history of morning ephemera. This didn't just appear in the 1990s with desktop publishing.
Right.
This is the modern descendant of a centuries-old tradition.
So take us back. What were people handing out at funerals in, say, 1850? What was the equivalent?
Well, for hundreds of years, we've had variations of printed mourning items, funeral programs, of course, but also things called memorial cards, small devotional cards, prayer cards, and remembrance slips.
Remembrance slips. That sounds so delicate.
It was. And in the Victorian era, you have to remember, death was much more visible, much more ritualized than it is for us today. And in faith-based traditions, especially within Catholicism, these small cards were absolutely vital tools.
Tools for what, exactly?
Yeah, they weren't just souvenirs. They were functional tools for prayer. You would be given a card, maybe it had a picture of a saint on it or a specific prayer, and it would have the name of the deceased. The theological idea behind it was that every time you saw that card, you were prompted to pray for the soul of that person.
Ah, so it was an active object.
It had a job to do as this little persistent reminder.
So it wasn't just remember me, it was more like, hey, help me out.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It was about ongoing spiritual support for the departed. Now, as time went on and printing became a little more accessible, the format started to evolve. The bookmark shape didn't become the standard by accident. It won out because of where it lived.
Which is inside other books.
Right. Think about the context of the 19th and early 20th centuries. What were the most important books people owned? What did they carry to church every single Sunday?
Their prayer book, their Bible.
Exactly. Prayer books, Bibles, hymnals, maybe a treasured book of poetry. A small square card can get lost in those. It falls out, it gets shuffled to the bottom of a stack of papers on a desk. But a bookmark, that long, slender strip,
It tucks right in.
it tucks securely into the binding. It doesn't fall out. It integrates itself into the daily or weekly ritual life of the mourner.
That makes so much sense. It's almost parasitic, but in a benevolent way. It latches onto an object you are already using consistently. You open your hymnal on Sunday, and there's your grandmother's face looking back at you.
Exactly. It creates a recurring, gentle encounter with that memory. And there is a practical economic angle here, too, that we can't ignore. As printing technology improved and became more affordable for the average person,
Right.
families started looking for alternatives to the massive multi-page funeral
Or
folder.
big brochures, the ones that are folded in 3.
Right. Those can get expensive, especially for a large service. They require more paper, more ink, folding, maybe stapling. That cost adds up very quickly. The bookmark offered a perfect middle ground.
How so?
You could still have the high-quality photo, you could still have the verse or the poem, but it was cheaper, it was faster to produce, and frankly, it's more durable than a big folded piece of paper. It's just a solid little plank.
And the source material mentions this really interesting intersection where we sit today. It describes the modern bookmark as sitting at the intersection of tradition and modern design.
That is the absolute key to its survival. It feels traditional. It doesn't feel like a gadget or some newfangled thing. When you hand someone a bookmark at a funeral, you are handing them something that feels weighted with history. It feels appropriate for the solemnity of the occasion.
It doesn't feel cheap or trendy.
No, but the way it's made, it's completely modern. We were talking about digital design tools like Adobe InDesign, high-resolution photo editing to make the picture perfect, rapid laser printing that can turn around hundreds in an afternoon. It's truly the best of both worlds.
Which brings us squarely to the psychology, because this is where I get stuck. I have a phone in my pocket that contains every photo I've ever taken. I can look at a picture of anyone I've ever met instantly, so why do I need the paper?
You mentioned a term in the pre-show notes that really caught my eye. Tactile grief.
Yes, tactile grief.
Unpack that for me. Because my phone is in my hand 24/7, it's very tactile, but I don't feel grief through it in the same way. What's the difference?
Think about the nature of a digital interaction. It's transient by design. It is slippery. You scroll past a photo on Instagram, you double tap it, you feel a little pang of sadness or nostalgia, and then it's gone. You keep scrolling. The pixels refresh, the screen changes.
The medium itself is designed for speed and disposal. Exactly. It is designed to keep you moving forward, to show you the next thing. It refuses to let you dwell.
And grief requires dwelling.
Grief is nothing but dwelling. Grief is slow. Grief is heavy. Grief stays. So tactile grief is this idea that we need physical objects to anchor those powerful, abstract feelings. The source material talks about the emotional weight of a physical keepsake.
It's not just a metaphor then.
Not at all. When you hold a laminated bookmark, you are feeling something with edges, with texture, with a specific temperature.
Yeah.
It occupies physical space in the world, just like the person used to.
It displaces air. I like that you said that.
It does. And unlike a screen, it doesn't demand your attention. A notification on your phone is aggressive. It's screaming, look at me now. It vibrates. It lights up. It wants something from you.
Right. It's an interruption.
A memorial bookmark just sits there. It has patience. You can put it in a drawer and completely forget about it for 5 years. Then one day, you're cleaning out that drawer looking for a battery, you find it, and suddenly you're transported back to that day, to that person. It's a quiet, passive object of comfort.
The source called it a gentle bridge. I thought that was a beautiful metaphor.
It is, because it's a bridge between two very different states of being. There's the intensity of the funeral ceremony itself, which, let's be honest, is often a complete blur for the immediate family. You are in shock, you are hosting people, you are exhausted.
You're just trying to get through it.
You're in survival mode. And then the service ends. Everyone goes home. The casseroles and the flowers eventually stop coming.
And the silence sets in. That's the hard part.
That is the really hard part. That bookmark is the bridge from the communal chaos of the service to the quiet, lonely weeks that follow. It's something that crosses over with you.
And people really do keep them.
Oh, absolutely. Behavioral insights from funeral directors and the industry show that many people describe the bookmark as the one thing they kept from a service. They might recycle the program, they might lose the thank you card, but they keep the bookmark.
Why that one thing?
Often it's a matter of pure logistics on the day. On the day of the funeral, they were too overwhelmed to carry anything big or bulky. A bookmark slips into a suit pocket or a small purse. It's non-intrusive. It doesn't require you to carry a whole folder around. It rides along with you. It's the survivor.
Now, I have to play the skeptic for a second here. Is this just an older generation thing? I can totally see my Aunt Linda hoarding bookmarks in a shoebox. She loves a keepsake. But what about Gen Z? What about the people who live on TikTok and Instagram? Are they really keeping these things?
It's the most common question, and you would think it's a clear age divide. But the data suggests otherwise. In fact, there's what the source calls a generational surprise here.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Younger generations, the ones who grew up as digital natives, are actually driving a huge resurgence in meaningful, tangible items.
Really? Like what?
Think about it. This is the generation that brought back vinyl records. They love Polaroid cameras. They buy paper planners and journals. They're obsessed with film photography.
That is so true. My niece is obsessed with her disposable camera. She loves the graininess and the fact that you can't see the picture right away.
Exactly. The imperfection and the waiting are part of the appeal. When your entire life is a file, when every photo is perfect and every song is a stream, touchable items become premium. They become special. They signal that this matters.
So it's not nostalgia for them because they didn't live through the first wave of these things.
It's not nostalgia. It's a conscious choice. If you send a Gen Z person a memorial PDF, they might look at it and then swipe it away. It's just another file. But if you hand them a beautifully designed, thick, laminated card with a silk tassel, that's an artifact. That's aesthetic. It fits into that whole niche appeal of special physical media.
So it's a countercultural act to keep the paper.
In a way, yes. It's a small act of resistance against the ephemeral, disposable nature of the internet.
Okay, so we've established that people want them across generations, but let's talk about the very practical side of this. The book is dying myth, or at least the physical book is. I haven't bought a physical paperback in 6 months. I read everything on my tablet.
A lot of people do.
So if I'm not reading War and Peace in a big hardcover, what am I actually doing with a memorial bookmark?
This is where we have to completely separate the form of the object from its function. The object is shaped like a bookmark, but its utility, its purpose, is not limited to marking a page in a novel. That's maybe the least common use for it now.
Okay, so where do they go? If not in a book, where are people putting these things?
The source material provides this incredible list of where these bookmarks actually end up, and it paints this amazing picture of how these objects infiltrate our daily lives in really subtle and surprising ways.
Okay, give me the list. Let's go through it.
Okay, so obviously Bibles, prayer books, and journals are still very big. That's the traditional home for them. But think about recipe binders.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
Imagine you're cooking a meal. Maybe it's a recipe your grandmother taught you. You open up the binder, and there is her bookmark tucked into the plastic sleeve next to the recipe card. It connects the memory directly to the activity of cooking her food.
And the binder protects it from, tomato sauce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're also found inside desk drawers, just sitting there, not marking anything.
I'm opening the drawer to get a pen moment.
Yes. And for a split second, you see their face. You open the drawer, you see them, you close the drawer. It's a microdose of memory in the middle of a workday.
Okay, that's powerful. What else?
But here is the most modern one, the one that really shows the hybrid nature of our lives now. Inside clear phone cases.
Oh, I have seen this. Yes.
You see it all the time now. People take the bookmark, or maybe they trim the photo part out, and they slide it between the back of their phone and the clear protective case. So literally, the physical object is merging with the digital device.
That is the ultimate hybrid. That's incredible.
It is. It's fascinating. Every single time you pick up your phone to text or check an email, you are physically touching the image of the person you lost. It turns the most modern piece of technology we own into a kind of reliquary.
A reliquary. Wow. And the car visor. I saw that in the notes. That's another classic spot.
A car visor is a classic for a reason. You clip it right onto the sun visor. Think about that space. It's an incredibly intimate, private space. You are usually alone in the car. It's a time for thinking. You flip down the visor to block the sun, and there they are.
It's like they're riding with you.
It's a quiet moment of connection during a daily commute. The message implied by all of these placements isn't mark your page. The message is keep them with you as you keep living.
Keep them with you as you keep living. That is a really powerful concept. It's active. It's not a passive storage item in a box somewhere. It's a companion.
It's a companion, and that active role starts at the service itself. There's a whole ceremonial usage to consider. We see families placing them on every chair before the service starts, or fanning them out on a welcome table by the guest book.
So it's part of the environment, and it gives you something to hold.
That is so crucial. Walking into a funeral home or a church for a service is awkward. It's deeply uncomfortable. You are anxious, you don't know what to say, and you absolutely do not know what to do with your hands.
The dreaded, awkward hand clasp in front of you.
Yes, or jamming them in your pockets.
Nah.
The bookmark gives you a prop. It gives you something to anchor you in that room. You can look at the photo, read the poem over and over. It bridges that awkward gap between walking in and the service actually starting. It absorbs all that nervous energy.
So we're really peeling back the onion here. This is so much more than a piece of cardstock. The source material actually breaks this down into 5 layers of purpose. I love when we get granular like this. Can you walk us through these layers one by one?
Absolutely. This framework really helps explain why the bookmark is such a high-performing object, why it succeeds where other things might fail.
Okay, let's start with layer 1.
Layer 1 is informational. This is the most basic, functional layer. It confirms the facts: name, birth date, death date, maybe the service location and time. It just sets the record straight. And in a chaotic, emotional time, simple facts can be very grounding.
Right, the who, what, when, where. Simple enough. What's layer 2?
Layer 2 is emotional. This is the content, the quote, the script of the poem. This is the voice of the bookmark. It's the message the family has chosen to send out into the world about their loved one. It's designed to help the mourner begin to process the grief. It gives them language for their feelings.
It provides the theme, in a way. Okay, layer 3.
Layer 3 is relational. This one is really interesting. It's a shared keepsake. Everyone at the service gets the exact same one. So for that hour in that room and for the weeks after, you know that hundreds of other people are all holding the same token.
It creates a collective memory.
That's the term the source uses. It connects the attendees to each other, not just to the deceased. It silently says, we were all here together for this.
It's like a badge of membership in this temporary community of grief. We all were there. We all love this person.
Precisely. Now, layer 4 is practical. This is the most straightforward one. It can be used as an actual bookmark. It can mark a place in a devotional or a cookbook. It has a real-world utility. It isn't just a statue that gathers dust. It can participate in your life.
It has a job, even if it's a simple one. And finally, layer 5.
Layer 5 is legacy. This is the long-term view. It is a tiny, durable artifact of a life. It is a portable remembrance that lasts for years, even decades. It is a slice of family history. 50 years from now, a great-grandchild might find that bookmark in an old Bible and for the first time see what their ancestor looked like. It's archival in a way a Facebook profile never can be.
It's amazing how much work a 2x6 piece of paper is doing across all those layers.
It is doing some very heavy lifting.
So if this thing is so important, if it's performing all these functions, the design must matter a lot. You can't just, slap some generic clip art and a Times New Roman font on a white background and call it a day.
Well, you could, but you absolutely shouldn't. The source material emphasizes that design is where the personality of the deceased really shines through. It's the first and most powerful tool for matching the aesthetic of the object to the spirit of the person.
Give me some examples. How do you capture a whole personality on a little bookmark?
Well, if the deceased was a gardener, someone who was, nurturing and gentle, you often see designs with soft florals, botanical prints, watercolor backgrounds, and pastels.
Okay.
If they were an outdoorsman, a hiker, a fisherman, you see scenic skies, mountains, forests, seascapes. It immediately tells a story.
What about veterans? That seems like a clear category.
Oh, patriotic themes are huge. American flags, eagles, navy blues, reds, and whites. It signals their service and that part of their identity immediately and with honor. And then there's the minimalist approach.
For the person who didn't like a lot of fuss.
Exactly. Some people were just simple in the best way. They didn't like clutter. So for them, you see elegant typography, a lot of clean white space, maybe a classic black and white photo. The design is a visual shorthand for who they were.
And the photo selection, that has to be the hardest part for any family.
It is the most critical and often the most difficult decision. The advice from the professionals is always, find a photo that is warm, clear, and where the eyes are visible and engaging with the viewer. You want a photo that feels like they are looking at you.
Not some blurry photo from 10 years ago.
Right. And interestingly, readability is a huge design factor that often gets overlooked by families trying to do it themselves.
What do you mean by that?
Think about the demographics at a typical funeral. Often, many attendees are elderly, and the lighting in a funeral home or a church can be quite dim. So if you choose a tiny curly script font in a light gray color on a white background,
My grandma can't read it. She's just going to see a blur.
nobody can read it.
Yeah.
And it becomes a source of frustration instead of comfort. So good design prioritizes high contrast and a legible font size. These are actually critical accessibility issues that become design priorities.
Now, let's talk about how these things actually get made. Because I have to imagine for a family in the middle of acute grief, the idea of sitting down and designing something feels impossible. Your brain is just not working properly.
It can be completely paralyzing.
Yeah.
The source identifies two main paths to creation, and they serve very different needs for families in different situations. Path A is DIY with templates.
The do-it-yourself route.
Yes, this appeals to families who, for whatever reason, want to maintain control. Maybe they have a very specific creative vision, or maybe they're on a very tight budget. Or maybe, and this happens a lot, they need it now. The service is tomorrow morning.
Right. There's no time for shipping or back and forth with a designer.
Exactly. So they use tools they already know, like Google Docs, Microsoft Word, or Apple Pages. But the key here is the template. The pre-made template solves all the technical headaches, the margins, the safe areas for text, the print bleed. You do not want to be figuring out printer settings when you're grieving.
No, you just want to fill in the blanks. Put the picture here, put the name here.
Exactly. The template allows the family to be the editor of the content, not the graphic designer.
And what's path B?
Path B is the done-for-you service. This is for the family that is completely overwhelmed. Or maybe it's a blended family with complicated logistics, or everyone lives in different states. They just need an expert to take over.
The just handle it for me option?
Just handle it. You email the photo, you send the dates and the poem, and a professional designer does the rest. They clean up the photo, they can remove the red eye, fix the lighting, sometimes even remove a distracting person from the background.
Oh, that's a valuable service.
It's huge. And they ensure everything matches. The bookmark, the funeral program, the memorial poster. It creates a cohesive, professional look without the family having to lift a finger during the worst week of their lives.
That sounds worth the money just for the stress reduction alone.
For many, many families, it absolutely is.
Let's talk about the upgrades. Because you can have a simple piece of paper, or you can have a fancy piece of paper. The source mentions a few specific finishing touches that people choose.
The big one, the most popular upgrade by far, is lamination.
The clear plastic coating.
Yes. And it seems purely functional at first. It prevents tearing and fraying. It makes it waterproof. But it does more than that aesthetically. It deepens the color of the ink. It makes the photo pop and look richer. And tactually, it makes the bookmark feel smooth and rigid. It feels permanent.
It can survive a coffee spill on the kitchen counter.
It absolutely can. Another small but important touch is rounded corners.
Oh, I love a rounded corner on a business card. It feels so much nicer.
It's a tiny detail, but has a big impact. A sharp, 90-degree corner gets bent and dog-eared easily. It pokes you. A rounded corner feels finished. It feels deliberate and soft.
And then the tassel. We have to talk about the tassel.
Tassel is the game changer.
Why? I mean, really, it's just a little piece of string.
It is not just a string. The source notes this beautifully. The tassel transforms the item from a handout to a gift.
Whoa. Okay, unpack that.
Think about it. A flat piece of cardstock. You hand it to someone, it feels like a flyer. A piece of cardstock with a hole punch and a little silky tassel hanging from it. That is an object of value. That feels like a present.
It's a keepsake.
It signals that this is an item meant to be retained, not tossed. And the color coordination allows for another layer of personalization and meaning. You can match the tassel color to the deceased's favorite color, or the flowers at the service, or their university colors.
It adds a third dimension to a two-dimensional object.
Exactly. It creates movement and texture. It makes it precious.
I want to move to distribution and this gift dynamic you just mentioned because it really struck me. The source material talks about how during a time of grief, funerals are usually about the family receiving.
Yes, and this is a profound psychological shift that happens. When you are the grieving family, your posture is one of receipt. You receive condolences, you receive hugs, you receive flowers, you receive casseroles.
So many casseroles.
So many casseroles. You are passive in that exchange. You are the ones being held up by the community.
You're the victim of the tragedy, in a sense. The focus is on your loss.
Right. The memorial bookmark, and other keepsakes like it, allows the family to switch roles, even for a moment. It allows them to give something back to the community that has come to support them.
That feels incredibly empowering.
It is. It's a moment of agency in a situation where you feel completely powerless. It's a moment where you can say, thank you for being here. Please take this piece of them with you. You are entrusting the memory of your loved one to your community.
Entrusted with memory. That gives me chills. It transforms the attendees from just a passive audience into keepers of the flame.
Keepers of the flame. That is exactly it. You're deputizing them to carry a piece of that person's story forward. And the flexibility of the bookmark as an object makes it so easy. Because they fit in a standard envelope, you can mail them to the cousin in another country who couldn't fly in.
So the gift can travel.
It can travel.
Yeah.
You can slip them into the thank you cards you send out a month later as a final, beautiful gesture. It extends the reach of that shared memory far beyond the four walls of the funeral home on that one afternoon.
Which brings us to the future. We started this whole deep dive by asking if the digital world is going to eventually kill the bookmark. But based on everything you've said so far, it sounds like they are actually becoming friends.
They are more than friends. They are integrating. We are seeing the rapid rise of the hybrid future.
And what does that look like in practice?
In practice, it looks like a beautiful, physical, laminated bookmark with a tassel and a QR code printed on the back.
Of course, the QR code is on everything now, from restaurant menus to billboards.
But think about the incredible utility here. The bookmark is the physical key. You hold it in your hand, it's the tangible anchor. But when you scan that code with your phone, it unlocks a limitless digital space.
A space for what?
Anything. A tribute video, an online photo gallery with hundreds of pictures, a link to the charity they cared about for donations, maybe even a playlist of their favorite music, or a recording of their voice from an old voicemail.
So the bookmark becomes the portal.
It's a portal. It stands alone as a complete and meaningful keepsake. You don't need to scan it to appreciate it. But if you want to go deeper, the digital layer is there. It bridges the gap perfectly between the finite physical object and the infinite digital cloud.
And what about the materials themselves? Are we going to see, I don't know, holographic bookmarks in the future?
Maybe. I wouldn't rule it out. But the more immediate trend is toward texture and sensory experience. Things like velvet touch laminates that feel incredibly soft, metallic foils for names or dates, soft touch coatings. Again, it all comes back to emphasizing the tactile nature of the object.
To make it feel even less like a phone screen.
Exactly. If people are going to keep a physical object in a digital world, they want it to feel premium. They want it to feel different from the cold, hard glass of their phone.
And what about eco-consciousness? I have to imagine that lamination, which is basically plastic, is a problem there.
It is a challenge for sure. Lamination is plastic.
Mm.
But we are seeing huge shifts toward recycled paper stocks, FSC-certified papers, and soy-based inks. There's even a growing interest in plantable paper that had wildflower seeds embedded right in it.
Oh, that's lovely. So you plant the bookmark and flowers grow from it.
It's a beautiful idea.
Yeah.
The challenge there, of course, is you can't laminate it, so it's a trade-off between durability and biodegradability.
Hmm.
But the industry is definitely innovating in that space.
And there's this one last weird loop the source mentioned, the social media loop. What's that?
Yes. This is where the snake eats its own tail, in a way. It's fascinating. Families are going through the process of designing these beautiful physical bookmarks, getting them printed, holding them in their hands, and then taking a picture of the bookmark to post on Facebook or Instagram.
Huh. So the physical object becomes digital content.
The physical object becomes a prop for digital storytelling. It's used to prove the reality of the grief and the event. Look, here is the official card for my father's service. It validates the event in the digital sphere by showing a tangible artifact from the real world.
It's so meta. It's the physical world authenticating the digital, which is the reverse of how we usually think about it.
It is. But it shows that these two worlds, the physical and the digital, are not enemies. They're in a conversation. They feed each other.
So to wrap this all up, we've gone deep. We've gone from Victorian mourning cards with saints on them to QR codes that link to Spotify playlists. We've talked about sun visors and recipe books and phone cases. If you had to summarize the enduring legacy, what is the final headline?
The headline is that grief needs a shape.
Grief needs a shape.
We can't hold grief in our heads. It's too big, it's too abstract, it overwhelms us. We can't hold it in our phones, it's too cold and slippery. We need to be able to hold it in our hands. The memorial bookmark endures because it's cost-effective, it is adaptable, and it is deeply personal. But mostly, it endures because it is intentional.
Intentional.
We keep old ticket stubs and random receipts in a junk drawer, sure. But the memorial bookmark is designed specifically for the purpose of being kept. Its entire reason for existing is to hold a memory. It's a promise, printed on paper. It's a way of saying, this life happened, this person mattered, and I am holding on to it.
This has been surprisingly moving for a conversation about, well, stationery.
Small things are always the big things.
That they are. So here's my final thought for you, the listener. And it's something to chew on while you're scrolling through your phone later tonight. In a future where your text messages disappear, where your emails get buried in an endless inbox, and where all your photos live on a server farm in a desert somewhere that you'll never see, a simple printed bookmark might actually become the most advanced piece of technology you own. Not because it has a microchip, but because it has permanence.
It asks nothing from you.
Exactly. It asks nothing from you except to exist alongside you as you move forward. It's a physical promise that a life was more than just a file. And maybe, just maybe, that's something worth holding on to.
Well said.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.